Hey everybody, welcome to Google SketchUp. This will be our first tutorial video and getting to learn this software. It's pretty cool stuff that we'll be doing here. We'll be designing some different things, drawing in virtual space, and then eventually we'll send those drawings over to the 3D printer or the laser cutter to have those machines kind of turn our creations into reality. So the software is pretty powerful. All different kinds of engineers, architects, designers use SketchUp in some way or another to communicate their ideas. So, if you're interested in those fields, or if you just like to do stuff, design stuff around the house, and you want to build and see what things look like in 3 dimensions, you can do it that way too. So, get good at the software because it's going to make working with those tools, the 3D printer and the laser cutter, an easier and more fun experience. So just looking at the interface for Google SketchUp, I'll call it Google SketchUp, it's just SketchUp. Across the top we have our toolbar with all the different tools, and we'll run through those over the next few videos. And then down the right hand side we have our tray, which you can hide if you want, but I prefer leaving it out where you can see it. So you can hide it there, but I think you should keep it pinned so it's always here. Okay, so what we're going to do in this is we're going to draw some different things. And the first thing we're going to draw in Canvas is this Tetris block here. So we're going to make some different Tetris type shapes. If you know that video game, the puzzle game, we're going to draw those. And what's important to note here are different lines, which we've talked about in class when we talk about multi-view drawings, and our overall dimensions, which for this, our Tetris piece is going to be 5 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet high. So these numbers here off to the side when you're getting started are really important. And then with that information, we can start to use the other information here to create our shape. So to get started, what I like to do when I'm working on these is to snap my drawings side by side with SketchUp so I can kind of look back and forth. So I'll grab my web browser here. I can just click and drag it around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it to the right hand side. And when I see my mouse get right to the edge, there's a little bit of a ripple effect. There it is. And when I let go, it now lets me choose another program to put right next to it. So I'm going to choose SketchUp. And then once I'm here, I can kind of hover over this bar and I can drag to resize some things. I want to see as much of SketchUp as I can, but I also want to be able to see my drawing. So I'm going to slide things over a little bit to where I can kind of see everything. And I like that. I can see my dimensions, I can see all of my drawing, and I gave myself as much of my SketchUp window as I can. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you the rectangle tool in SketchUp. We've got this person here that the program puts in there so you can see things a little bit better. I like to get rid of them so you can Thanos them away by selecting them with your select tool. Get the little blue box around them, and then if you just hit delete, they no longer exist. Okay, so now I got a little bit more room. I'm not looking past that person. I can kind of see things a little bit better now. And I'm going to choose my rectangle tool or my shape tool, which is just up here. You have a down arrow. You can choose some different shapes later on if you want, but we'll just keep it rectangle for now. And there's a couple things you can do with the rectangle tool. We can click and drag out a shape. And if you look down at the lower right-hand corner of my screen, you'll see the different dimensions. So it'll tell us in feet and inches. And what's important to know is when you're reading that, the 3, if you're reading this measurement right now, it says 3 apostrophe 1 and 11/16 quotation mark. And what that means, if you ever work on a job site or do any kind of construction, the 3 apostrophe, that's 3 feet, and then it's 1 and 11/16 inches. So apostrophes mean feet and quotation marks mean inches. And then we have a comma, and we have 9 and 9/16 inches. So we can read those as measurements as well, which helps us. So we can try to, with our mouse, make this 5 feet by 2 feet, or, and I've hit escape, I can start over. Or what I can do is I can just type out my drawing. I like to start here at the center, at the nexus, or sorry, the origin. And I'm going to click one time so I can start dragging it out. And before I click a second time to set the rectangle permanent, I can just type in my dimensions. So I can say 5 and then apostrophe for feet and then a comma. So I'm telling the computer to make this 5 feet and then the comma is by, and then I'm going to say 2 feet. And when I hit enter now, I now have a 5 foot by 2 foot rectangle. I'm zoomed in a little bit so I can mouse out. Your scroll wheel helps you with the zoom. If you need to move around, up here this little hand is our pan tool, so we can kind of click and move as well. While we're here, we also have the orbit tool, or if you just hit O on your keyboard to select the orbit, you can click and now all of a sudden we can start to see around our rectangle from all angles. So that's pretty cool. So what I want you guys to do is make a rectangle, make sure it's 5 feet by 2 feet. Start at that origin, it makes things simpler. Draw that out and let me know if you guys have any questions. All right, guys, talk to you soon.